Now that you've all completed a thorough discussion about the pros and cons of every possibility in response to the humanitarian decision-making matrix, I invite you to consider the process by which you arrived at the conclusions you came to. These are exactly the types of situations that we encounter every single day conducting humanitarian work. Situations where there's no perfect answer and you're going to step on someone's toes. This is exactly a situation that I worked in at the very beginning of my humanitarian career in 2016. So I encourage you to think about what steps brought you to making that decision. What were some of the considerations? Some of those considerations were the original community you were responsible to protect, the people in the shelters. Another consideration was the legality of all the actions you took, right? You can't put this person in the shelter for Afghans because it would violate local law and thereby invalidate your humanitarian mandate. Another consideration was the fact that this person was in and of himself vulnerable. But to what extent was he vulnerable? If you considered him to be a young man, he would be less vulnerable than if you considered himself to be a child. All of this comes back to one critical aspect of what we do, and what we do is empowerment. Empowerment comes from giving people the choices to make decisions that allow them to lead healthy livelihoods. In this case, the first step to be taken, no matter what the decision you make is to have a conversation with this person and assess where you believe him to fall on the scale of vulnerability. If he's in tears and he's afraid, perhaps you need to consider him to be a child, and perhaps the only safe place for him is going to be in your own personal shelter, even with all the negatives that entails. But if he seems all right and he says, hey, you know what, man, I just need a good night's sleep, maybe you can put him in the less crowded shelter, right next to the door, goes in quietly with a blanket and a bottle of water, and wakes up early in the morning. So the crucial aspect of this is empowerment, trying to give people the choices in the types of lives they live. We can't give them their country back, but we can give a little bit of control over how the next few hours of their life are going to go. So I invite you to have a little bit more of a discussion on empowerment and what it means for refugee communities. Great job, everyone.